We're not doing any exercise that you don't know, all right?
That's important.
So we get the central nervous system firing in sort of a race intensity. It's really high intensity. And then the lateral band work. We'll do that twice through, and then we'll go get in the sauna and chill out.
No cameras in the sauna, though. You don't want to see what happens in there.
Vamos.
I think motorsport has been in my blood since I was a kid.
Power up, power.
I was actually 2 years old when I was given my first go-kart.
Power, 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 run, run, come on, push, 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 push.
My name is Carlos Sainz. I drive for Renault Sport Formula 1.
Faster feet, come on, faster, faster, faster.
Born in Madrid, Spain.
Smashing against the wall, come on.
When I was 9 years old, I remember seeing Fernando Alonso winning the World Championship. In 2005, I meet Fernando Alonso in the Spanish Grand Prix. I remember going back home and saying to my dad, I want to be like Fernando Alonso, I want to be a Formula 1 driver. Hope one day I can add my name to the list of Spanish drivers that have won a Formula 1 race.
Fernando, who will win in the championship between you and Carlos?
I think it's difficult to predict, but you know, it depends of our teams a little bit. But if I have to bet my money, I will put on McLaren and myself.
What's happening to Carlos Sainz in his battle with Fernando Alonso? Sainz has taken a long way round onto the gravel. That's never going to win out that particular Spanish duel. Fernando Alonso is on his way home now to 5th place in this race, and what a performance that is!
I think it was definitely a good race. We should be proud of that, but yeah, I think there is a lot more to come.
Carlos Sainz now puts Fernando Alonso under pressure. Is he going to try and launch one? He is down the inside. Alonso saw him coming. And there's Carlos Sainz. But Fernando Alonso got the inside line and just cuts him off.
Fernando Alonso is my racing hero, but I really want to beat him because I've been losing against him. I really want payback.
My view of McLaren has always been that they are the best racing team in the world. When I got the call to work here, it was extremely special. My name is Zach Brown. I'm Executive Director of McLaren Technology Group. I've been in motor racing my entire life. I'm now 46 years old. We have a lot to offer at McLaren. We've been absolutely dominant over the years.
And McLaren have already broken just about every record in the book.
You show up every day and look down the boulevard and have the first thing you see is Niki Lauda's car. And Ayrton Senna's car.
And Ayrton Senna crosses the line. He is world champion.
We've got thousands of employees running around here that all share the same passion and desire to win. We've got a massive fan base, but it's been pretty hard to cheer for us because we've not been anywhere near racing at the front. You know, it's been a difficult 5-year run.
Yeah, get rid of this because you're kind of shifting. This is all drivers.
I felt I could contribute to making a difference.
We do everything in dollars.
If you're happy for me to flip them all to dollars, which I've done on the last page.
Flip them all to dollars,
Okay.
Otherwise it starts becoming a bit.
And so I wanted to get into an environment that I had some work to do, as opposed to maybe joining a team that's on the top and you've got kind of only one way to go.
Winter testing is the first opportunity that we get to see the new cars for this year out on track. It's really a first opportunity for the teams to put their cars through their paces, to see if they're as good as they hope they're going to be, if they're as fast as they hope they're going to be, and crucially, if they are reliable. The stakes have really never been higher for McLaren. They are trying to rebuild themselves into a competitive championship-winning team. After so many years of disappointment, if they don't get it right this year, they're going to lose their driver.
I think Fernando is one of the best drivers in the history of Formula One. I don't think there's a team that wouldn't love to have Fernando in their racing car, so to have him stay with us, I think, is a big vote of confidence of how he feels we will race this year.
My name is Fernando Alonso. I'm 2 times world champion and I race for McLaren.
I have a lot of power on the things that I may say, so I feel that responsibility, that leadership, and I try to guide the team in the best way possible.
I feel confident this year. We want to come out pretty strong and demonstrate that we're going to be back to our winning ways.
Check. Okay, Fernando, yeah, that's loud and clear for me.
Winter testing is always a moment of the year where we are all optimistic. We have a lot of trust and faith on the car. We try to stress the car, you know, to the maximum.
Okay, nice work, Fernando. I need multifunction C2, position 4, please. Yes, okay.
When I joined the team, we were fighting for the World Championship, and that was a different role than what we have now, which is trying to fight back and bringing the team back to the top positions.
Okay, Fernando, this pace is really good. Copy.
Alonso's had a crash. Well, he's gone off. Like, the wheels come off his car.
It's rare this happens in testing. It's better that it happens now than it happens once you get to the first race. But it's, shall we say, it's a worrying thing to happen. Fernando's not going to be happy.
No, Formula One is not easy to hide anything in winter testing.
Assume that like this for the rest of the day.
We go into another planet.
So many people and so many cameras. There are a lot of eyes on everyone.
We need to have this crucial moment.
Off the front, gun numbers off.
For a cracking 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The paddock is really starting to come to life.
I'm excited to be back here. Obviously I'd love to win. It should be a fun race.
In a race that could just conjure up anything in the next 51 laps. And you can feel it, the pressure in the air.
Make sure to be very clear in your analysis of the tires. But it's better to have, even if one is the best, it's better to have a 2 optimized than one that is not half pregnant, really.
The electronics go.
2018 has to be a season where Renault shows that we are progressing, and therefore our ambition to be fighting at the top in a few years' time is credible. My name is Cyril Abiteboul. I am Managing Director of Renault Sport Formula One. But what's fantastic is our lineup of drivers. Carlos and Nico is one of the strongest in the grid.
There was no turning back.
The midfield is extremely tight. McLaren right now, they are our most direct competitor. If we have the ability to beat them, we say a lot about the progression of Renault. We need to deliver what people are expecting from us. If I don't deliver, I'm third.
There's always going to be people making mistakes in Baku. For me, it's one of the most challenging tracks in Formula One at the moment.
And just a reminder about the tailwind in 3, 4, 15 and 16.
If you stay out of trouble, you could actually think about a top 5 finish.
Clear check. Yeah, Fernando, that's loud and clear for me.
It's the fastest street circuit in the world, and always that gives a lot of adrenaline for the spectators and for drivers as well.
So the cars begin their formation lap in Baku. One more chance to warm their tyres and warm their brakes.
It's a very particular track because you've got a first sector that is dominated by 90-degree corners. When you talk to the drivers, they tell you it's like driving very, very fast in a cage. Then you've got sector 2, which is very twisty in the old town, so that's very different. Sector 3 is pretty much one corner and a straight.
Okay, Fernando.
5 seconds to go.
Turn 1 then, who's going to come out on top? So far, all getting away cleanly. And there's damage. Wow, it's full of debris. There's contact down into turn 2. Fernando Alonso and Tarockin going wheel to wheel. Oh no, there's contact, Fernando Alonso.
Puncture switch, puncture switch.
Collision! Ocon is out of the race!
Unbelievable. You take care corner 1, corner 2 and they crash into you. Fucking stupid. It's a black flag situation. What these guys they do. Destroy the complete race.
We had 2 punctures and the car was nearly undrivable.
Okay, into box.
It was, say, not fair to have that damaged car on lap 1 and not having the possibility to fight back. You know, that anger to go back to the pit lane and change those tires. You know, the desire of keep racing. It was not the moment to retire that car.
I think most drivers would have parked the car and wouldn't have even thought about continuing in the race.
Okay, Fernando, the race isn't over for us. Race isn't over.
Okay, Carlos, how is the balance?
Yeah, all good. Here goes Carlos Sainz. He's up in 6th place. Tries to go around the outside, nothing doing.
At that point in the race, I really started attacking and really pushing flat out.
Carlos Sainz is on Verstappen's tail. Brilliant racing from all 3
My name is Carlos Añoro. I'm Carlos Sainz's manager and his cousin. I mean, for me, it's heart attack after heart attack. Qualifying until the end of the race, it's like a roller coaster.
Carlos Sainz looking very recent.
It means a lot to be racing against Red Bull and to be pressuring them.
In a race like Baku, where you see that he's fighting for fourth, for fifth position, which is not normal, it's always exciting.
Verstappen might go down the inside, and he does so!
A podium is always something that you are aiming for. The difficulty is that there are 3 top teams, 2 cars each. That's already 6th position. Therefore, that leaves little room for us. But who knows, maybe there will be that opportunity for us, and we need to be sure to see that opportunity if it's given.
Sainz swoops around the outside of Verstappen. Nice move there from the driver in the Renault.
Super stop. I'm starting to regret a bit the rear tires. I'm gonna start losing time with the Red Bull.
Okay, so box to slap, box to slap.
Copy.
Carlos Sainz into the pits then. He's had to let the Red Bulls go.
The Red Bulls had pulled away. They were 10-15 seconds ahead of me, and they were both fighting each other.
Ricciardo desperate to get past Max Verstappen, but Verstappen aggressively defending against his teammate.
Yellow flags, turn yellow, 1, take care, turn 1. Double yellow, turn 1. Turn 1. Both Red Bulls off at turn 1.
When you are driving for one of the teams in the midfield, I'm not gonna say I will celebrate the top teams crash into each other, but if Carlos goes up 2 places because the drivers decide to collide, it's good for him, and he gained 2 places for free.
Safety car, safety car, safety car in this lap.
Okay, which position I'm in?
You're currently P7.
Okay.
Now we've got how many laps to go, but not many, till the end. So new tires, we need to overtake Grosjean.
Right, on board then with Grosjean. He's weaving around, trying to get temperature into the tyres.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, Grosjean crash.
Nice one, P6.
I'm fucking speechless. I can't fucking believe it.
That's how quick things can change in Formula 1. Ouch.
Back with Fernando Alonso.
Fernando, you're doing an amazing job. This pace is really good.
Okay. Okay, guys, how many laps to the end are we now?
7 laps remaining now. You're gaining 4 tenths per lap to the cars ahead. Keep focus.
Copy.
He ran across some debris.
At that point, I remember thinking about giving it a shot at that podium place.
Vamos, Carlos.
And 2 laps remaining now.
Copy.
Sainz has pulled out from behind the slipstream. Nice move there. And he's now up into 5th place.
Nice job, Carlos. We need to focus on the last lap. Last lap.
Hamilton takes the checkered flag. Carlos Sainz comes home to finish in 5th. Fernando Alonso finishes as the second Spaniard in this race.
Nice job, mate. P5, well done. Good job, guys.
Following his earlier incident, it's amazing Alonso finished at all. Only a driver of his caliber could have got that car to the end.
Well, you feel proud of your team, of your abilities also driving that car, of your commitment. You ended up with P7 and you feel very, very proud of that drive. It was by far the best race of the season for me personally. Despite the start, we will fight until the checkered flag.
Podium next.
Finishing fifth was the best team result since we returned to Formula One, but we are still behind McLaren in terms of the championship.
Nice drive.
It was one of those weekends that you go back home really happy because you've contributed to a very big team result.
Yeah, really good one. Yeah, the races were like all over the place. Thank you. You guys must have been enjoying it from the outside. Leclerc got a very good slipstream from there. But then I got him back easy. I said, this guy is not beating me, no fucking way. I went bananas to him like
No. Every time I'm in Spain, I try to organize a dinner at home. You get to disconnect a bit from the races and you really get to have some fun.
Eso es falta. No dejes que se vaya. Claro. Me encanta.
Carlos is my younger cousin, so we are very close. We've been very close since he was born, basically.
Oye, me quiero tomar por culo, tío.
His father is my uncle. Even if you haven't heard about Carlos Sainz, the motorsport legend, when you meet him, you can tell he's a powerful guy.
¡Joder! ¡Venga ya, hombre! Pero por favor. Y ahora mira, burreo. Joder.
And obviously, if you know something about sports, Carlos' father is an icon of motorsport. For Carlos Jr., growing up with his dad has had positives and negatives. You've got free advice from a legend. At the same time, I think it was a little bit tough because everywhere that Carlos went racing, he was like pointed out that, look, that's the son of Carlos Sainz. I want to beat that guy. That kind of jealousy, he has had to prove a lot of people wrong.
If I could be invisible, I would love to be invisible. ¿Qué tal? This is his life, his sport, his time. And, you know, I have been enough time in the camera, so I'm quite happy to leave him alone.
Obviously, I know that my dad is a very famous name. I'm incredibly proud to be his son. But me personally, I want to create my own name, my own career in Formula One.
Carlos is still growing, he's still maturing somehow, and I remember how I was with 22, 23. He's quite smart sometimes.
Oh, look at this. This is not a dog. This is a piece of shit.
It is emotional racing in Spain for me. You know, it's once a year that you have the home Grand Prix.
Please do not push. For safety reasons, please do not push, por favor.
You know, the amount of work you put off track to make people happy, to sign as many autographs as possible, to take time for the kids, to take pictures, to give presents, you know, whatever you can do to make people happy, you try to do it that weekend.
Nice to go up on these ones, but we cannot fit in this seat.
Yeah, this is good.
It's this one.
I've not been dog pilot for fucking years. Man.
Yeah?
Too old.
It's good fun. Still good fun.
Yeah, I haven't done it for so long.
Karting has been, for me, probably the best part of my racing career. I've been in go-karts for more than 15 years, and probably the best memories are coming from that part of my life.
Hold on, it's hard. It's so hard.
Ir poco a poco. No podéis adelantar, no. Hoy es solo una exhibición.
Pero tú así, tú adelanta.
Hoy es una exhibición solo. Hoy venimos a veros tranquilos.
When you start racing and you jump in a go-kart for the first time, there is some kind of freedom. As a kid, you normally follow your parents and your friends and your teacher at the school. Everything is always behind some rules. And the first time you are behind the wheel, you are yourself and you are alone on a racetrack. That feeling, I think, together with the speed and together with adrenaline, is something that is difficult not to fall in love.
My dad comes nearly to every race, maybe 16, 17 races a year out of 21. My sisters and my mom told me that he gets a bit too nervous if he doesn't come to a Grand Prix weekend.
I reckon Grosjean's not coming round turn one. What do you reckon?
Might make what? 2?
Okay.
In the midfield, all Spanish eyes will be looking at Fernando Alonso in the McLaren and Carlos Sainz in the Renault. Alonso's in 8th, just one place ahead of his fellow Spaniard.
I am a competitive guy. I always visualize winning. That guy who was your hero, your killer instinct immediately comes in and you suddenly take it as one rival more that you want to beat.
When you are on the grid, you go into that zone, into that moment of it's just the car and yourself. Compete, race, win. You just need to deliver.
And radio check, Carlos?
Yeah, all good. There is only one guy who's allowed to talk to the driver when he's out there on track. It's a race engineer for Carlos. It's Carol.
Okay, Carlos. Good luck, mate. Last car approaching the grid.
It's a good start for Carlos Sainz. Can he keep ahead of Alonso coming into turn 1? Oh, he just manages it. But he's out wide and in the gravel. That's Alonso's chance to go round the outside. He's in trouble too. Oh, and off it's Grosjean.
That looks like Romain Grosjean.
involved as well. Is that Carlos Sainz? I think it is.
No, that looks like Nico Hülkenberg. Hülkenberg is out of this race.
It was Grosjean. Exactly what I said at the beginning. I said he's not coming around turn one.
We can get racing once again. Sainz is up in 8th place.
And Sainz is pressuring Magnussen for 7th. Tries to go around the outside at turn 3. Not going to get through there.
Down into 11th.
And here's Alonso in 11th. He's now trying to attack Ocon in the same place, and he is going to go around the outside. He's still got it, hasn't he? What a move.
Okay, Carlos, so box the lap.
Going in, Carlos Whitley.
So you will be close to Ericsson on pit exit.
Alonso's caught Hartley on the straight, and he's got him.
Sainz is going for it here with Marcus Ericsson.
Trying to go around the outside. Ericsson just leans on him.
Oh, they're going to touch, aren't they?
That is some great side-by-side action. Unbelievably close.
He has to look after his tyres. Our race isn't with Ericsson, mate.
Sainz is desperate to overtake Ericsson. Ericsson's long overdue a pit stop. Don't forget, these tyres need to last Sainz till the end of the Grand Prix.
Why I cannot pass? He's so fast on the straight.
Keep him calm, keep him calm. He doesn't need to pass it. It's the cars behind him is to worry about.
You know, that's Leclerc and Alonso behind him. Okay, Carlos. Behind you, you have Leclerc and Alonso. Let's stay calm. We need to focus on tires.
Copy.
In the race, you go into that more aggressive mode. You know that you are in your home Grand Prix and you know that you need to make moves to try and gain positions, to try and put on a good show.
Leclerc and Alonso behind, not Ericsson. That's what I just told them.
Well, tell him again and tell him to drop back and stop fucking racing him, please. If you won't tell him, I will tell him. He's going to wear his fronts out and we're going to lose this race.
Look after the tires and bring it home, please.
Marcus Ericsson is finally off to the pits, unleashing Sainz into 7th place. But just behind is Charles Leclerc, who's getting passed by Fernando Alonso. Alonso in 8th now.
Next car behind you now is Alonso. 6 laps to go.
He just had a quite pressure drop through turn 3.
When you say drop, you mean a little tiny wincy one or something to be scared of?
Quite scared, yeah, we were down to around 2 bar.
Okay.
Oh, the engine.
It's fuel pressure.
I had a fuel dropout.
Turn the engine up, please, Carol. Scenario 1.
Sainz has engine trouble. He'll be down on power for these final few laps.
Roto. No me lo puedo creer, se quedaba nada.
Carlos Sainz has Fernando Alonso breathing down his neck.
Right, what can we do through 3? Can we go a little bit easier through 3 so we don't get those dropouts?
It will help, but it probably won't stop it.
Okay, Carlos, we need to take it easy to turn 3.
How easy? Like how much?
We need a big lift off.
Like that is good. Like that is very good.
Okay, keep doing that, please.
Alonso is 8 seconds behind, 8 seconds behind.
So I really needed to slow down, but at the same time I had Fernando pushing behind me. No?
Okay, Fernando, Sainz is slowing. I want 100% focus on Sainz.
Okay.
Ha dicho engine. Tiene que entrar muy despacio en la curva 3 porque se queda sin...
Pues verás ahora Fernando cómo va a apretar.
Fernando Alonso has just put in his fastest lap of the race.
Okay, Carlos, 5 laps to go.
I asked to my engineer to keep telling me the lap times of Fernando.
Okay, 2 laps to go. 5-second gap to Alonso behind. And the last lap you were 2 seconds quicker than Sainz.
Una vuelta.
Alonso is continuing to gain on Sainz.
This is the last lap.
We didn't know we were going to make it.
And there's Carlos Sainz
7th in front of McLaren's Fernando Alonso.
Menos mal. Mira Fernando dónde le tenía ya, ¿eh? En el cogote subido.
Nice job, mate. P7, P7, well done.
Good job, Carlos. Beat McLaren.
Oh, when he opened the radio, he went, engine. It's like, no fucking way.
Great to get ahead of Alonso at the start.
And McLaren. We've overtook them in the championship.
We had some high hopes. I think we are the underdogs now. It's not a place McLaren is used to being.
It's a very decent finish for us. I think we have a team that is definitely finally starting to believe.
Fernando was, the first world champion in Formula One for Spain. Carlos has a great respect for him. He is competing with his hero.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Fernando is the best driver in motorsport at the moment. So I know I'm fighting against the best, even if it's for P7.
Obviously, Fernando and Carlos are a different generation. Carlos knows he's the next Spanish driver in Formula One, but he wants to do things his own way.
It's incredible, no? How life is. When I met him when I was 10, who would have told me that 14 years later I would have ended up battling against the best?
Okay, cheers, guys. Thanks for the win. Thank you.
This year, I've had to look for another contract.
Danny's very much at a crossroads.
What if I just break free?
Max is their chosen star.
The better I do, the better offers I get. Till I lift that trophy, I won't be satisfied. This is my time. It's my fucking time.
What has happened to Daniel Ricciardo?
Losing power.
Berlusconi purchased the club, recognizing its potential to serve as a powerful vehicle for his own brand of success. His entry into the world of soccer was marked by the same showmanship that characterized his television networks. He arrived at the team's training facility in a fleet of helicopters, accompanied by the dramatic music of Richard Wagner, presenting his players as modern gladiators who were destined to conquer the world. Berlusconi's vision for Milan was not merely to win games, but to do so with style, elegance, and an offensive philosophy that would revolutionize the sport. He famously declared that he was condemned to win, a phrase that captured both his relentless ambition and the high-stakes narrative he was constructing around his own persona. Chapter 6: The Revolution of Arrigo Sacchi. To implement his vision of a spectacular, dominant football team, Berlusconi made a decision that was greeted with widespread skepticism by the Italian sports media. He hired Arrigo Sacchi, a young coach who had never played professional soccer and whose previous experience was limited to coaching in the lower divisions. Sacchi was a visionary who rejected the defensive, cautious tactics that had dominated Italian soccer for generations. He believed in a system based on collective movement, high-intensity pressing, and the compression of space on the field. Under Sacchi's direction, the concept of defense was transformed from a passive act of survival into an aggressive, proactive strategy. To complement Sacchi's system, Berlusconi invested heavily in world-class talent, signing the brilliant Dutch trio of Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, and
Frank Rijkaard.
These players possessed a physical power and technical skill that, when integrated into Sachai's tactical framework, made Milan virtually unstoppable. The culmination of this soccer revolution occurred in May of 1989 at the European Cup final in Barcelona. Milan was facing Steaua Bucharest, a formidable Romanian team representing the structured athletic programs of the Eastern Bloc. The match took place against the backdrop of a changing Europe. The Berlin Wall would fall later that year, and the geopolitical structures that had divided the continent for 40 years were beginning to fracture. In Barcelona, however, the dominant force was the sea of red and black flags carried by 90,000 Milan fans who had traveled across Europe to witness the game. The performance that night was a masterpiece of athletic dominance.
Milan
pressed Steaua from the opening whistle, suffocating their opponents and controlling every aspect of the match. Gullit and Van Basten each scored twice, securing a 4-0 victory that established Milan as the premier club in the world. For Berlusconi, the triumph of AC Milan was more than an athletic success. It was a validation of his entrepreneurial philosophy. He had taken a failing institution, applied modern management techniques and visionary leadership, and transformed it into a symbol of Italian excellence on the global stage. As Milan continued to win domestic and international titles, Berlusconi's association with the club's success became deeply embedded in the Italian consciousness. He had built a pedestal of athletic glory that would soon serve as the foundation for his entry into the arena of national politics. Chapter 7: The Legacy of the Narrative. The threads of these three stories, the snowy drama of the tuck rule, the media-fueled passion of the 1997 Heisman race, and the calculated athletic ascendancy of Silvio Berlusconi, reveal a profound truth about the nature of sport and its relationship with human destiny. In each instance, we observe how a single moment, governed by a specific set of rules, can alter the trajectory of lives and institutions. Had the officials in Foxborough ruled that Tom Brady had fumbled the football, his career might have taken a very different path. He may have returned to the bench as a backup to the veteran Drew Bledsoe and the dynasty that defined the next 2 decades of professional football might never have been realized. Similarly, had the Heisman voters of 1997 chosen Peyton Manning over Charles Woodson, the professional destinies of both players and the franchises that drafted them might have been subtly rewritten. In Italy, Berlusconi took this dynamic to its logical conclusion. When he entered politics in 1994, he named his political party Forza Italia, a phrase taken directly from the chants of the soccer stadium. He presented himself to the electorate not as a traditional politician, but as the president of AC Milan, the man who had brought victory and glory to the nation. His political campaign was conducted with the same media sophistication and narrative focus that had transformed his soccer club, leading him to serve as prime minister for 3 terms. Ultimately, these narratives remind us that while we construct rules to govern our games, and our societies, we remain subject to the unpredictable winds of fortune. The rules provide the structure, but it is the human spirit with all its ambition, vulnerability, and desire for victory that writes the final story. The human experience is often defined not by the grand, sweeping changes we plan for years, but by the quiet, unforeseen collisions of fate that occur in a fraction of a second. We build our institutions, draft our rule books, and train our bodies for peak performance, yet we remain subject to the unpredictable winds of chance. A single snowflake falling on a patch of turf, a split-second decision by a young athlete, or the whistle of an official can redirect the lives of individuals, the fortunes of franchises, and even the political destiny of nations. This is the chronicle of those moments of intersection where the trajectory of history was permanently altered, explored through three distinct arenas of competition, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of victory. Part 1. The Snow and the Rule Book. In the middle of January in the year 2002, a winter storm descended upon the town of Foxborough, Massachusetts. The air was frigid, and the sky heavy with the promise of relentless snow. It was a night when normal mortals sought the warmth of their hearths, but on the field of Foxborough Stadium, two professional football teams prepared to contest a playoff game that would be remembered for decades. The New England Patriots were hosting the Oakland Raiders in the American Football Conference semifinals. It was the final game ever scheduled for the aging stadium before its planned demolition, lending the evening a sense of impending finality. The owner of the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, had specifically requested this setting when the National Football League had asked the team owners for their scheduling preferences. Kraft had opted for a night game in the deep cold of winter, believing that the harsh, dark, and frozen environment of Foxborough would provide his team with a distinct home field advantage. It was a calculated gamble, recalling the legendary snowstorms of New England football history, such as the famous 1982 game when a snowplow operator on work release from the state penitentiary cleared a spot on the icy field for a game-winning field kick. The Oakland Raiders arrived in New England carrying the heavy baggage of history. The rivalry between these two franchises was old and fraught with bitterness. 25 years earlier, in the 1976 playoffs, a highly controversial roughing the passer penalty called by referee Ben Drath against New England defensive tackle Sugar Bear Hamilton had gifted the Raiders a first down, leading to a late touchdown by Ken Stabler and a 24-21 victory. That single call had burned in the hearts of New England fans for nearly a decade, during which Drath was not permitted to officiate another Patriots game. Now, a quarter of a century later, the stage was set for another chapter of high drama, played out on a field covered in several inches of white powder. This game also served as a reunion for two former collegiate teammates who had shared a locker room at the University of Michigan. Charles Woodson, the celebrated cornerback of the Oakland Raiders, and Tom Brady, the young quarterback of the New England Patriots, were now facing each other as adversaries. In college, Woodson had been the epitome of athletic success, winning the Heisman Trophy and displaying an extraordinary instinct for the game that seemed years ahead of his peers. Brady, on the other hand, had endured a more difficult path, fighting for playing time at Michigan before being selected. In the 6th round of the National Football League draft with a 199th pick, he had spent his rookie season as a backup, but when the starter Drew Bledsoe suffered a severe internal injury early in the 2001 season, Brady was thrust into the starting role. As the playoff game unfolded, the driving snow made offensive execution exceedingly difficult. The footing was treacherous, and catching the leather ball in the swirling flakes tested the limits of the players. Yet for a quarterback, the slow-motion nature of a snow game could also offer a strange advantage. The defenders, unable to plant their feet firmly on the slick turf, could not execute complex blitzes or sudden changes of direction. Every movement on the field became deliberate and legible. By the second half, the Oakland Raiders held a 13-3 lead, thanks to the kicking of Sebastian Janikowski and a stout defensive performance. But Brady, displaying the quiet composure that would define his career, began to find a rhythm. Operating from a spread formation, he completed 9 consecutive passes on a drive that culminated in his first rushing touchdown of the night. He scrambled toward the goal line, looking somewhat awkward, like a young deer navigating frozen terrain, before sliding into the end zone. The touchdown cut the deficit to 13-10, breathing new life into the frozen stadium. With just over 2 minutes remaining in the game, the New England Patriots were desperate to regain possession of the football on a critical 3rd down and 1. From midfield, the Oakland Raiders attempted a short yardage run. Due to a communication error along the offensive line, the play was stopped short of the 1st down. Rather than risking a 4th down conversion attempt, Oakland head coach John Gruden elected to punt, trusting his defense to protect the 3-point lead. The Patriots took over the ball, and young Tom Brady began to direct his team down the field. With under 2 minutes remaining and no timeouts, the pressure was immense. Brady dropped back to pass, searching for an open receiver. The Oakland defense, anticipating a deep throw, dropped back into coverage, but Charles Woodson, recognizing the alignment, came on a safety blitz from the edge. As Brady pump-faked the ball, trying to locate his target, Woodson converged on him with immense speed. Before Brady could complete his motion, Woodson struck him, knocking the football loose. The ball bounced onto the snowy turf, and Oakland defensive lineman Greg Biekert fell upon it. To every observer on the field and in the stands, it appeared to be a game-ending fumble, securing victory for the Oakland Raiders and sending them to the conference championship. However, the game was not over. Under the rules of the National Football League, all plays within the final 2 minutes of a half are subject to video review by the replay official. The referee of the game, Walt Coleman, walked to the sideline monitor to examine the footage. He was tasked with interpreting one of the most obscure and poorly understood regulations in the league rule book, the tuck rule. According to Rule 3, Section 22, Article 2 of the National Football League Rulebook, when an offensive player is holding the ball to pass it forward, any intentional forward movement of his arm starts a forward pass. If the player loses possession of the ball while attempting to tuck it back toward his body, it is ruled an incomplete pass rather than a fumble, provided the ball comes loose before it is fully secured against his torso. The video angles showed Brady starting a throwing motion, then stopping and attempting to bring the ball back to his left hand to secure it. It was during this pocket of time, as his arm was returning toward his body, that Woodson made contact and dislodged the football. By the letter of the written law, the motion constituted an incomplete pass, even though Brady's physical intent was clearly to hold on to the ball rather than throw it. After a tense delay, Walt Coleman returned to the field and announced the reversal of the call. The stadium erupted in a mixture of disbelief and joy, while the Oakland Raiders stood stunned on the frozen field. They felt they had been deprived of a hard-earned victory by a legal technicality. Given a second chance, the Patriots executed their offense, advancing the ball to the Oakland 28-yard line. With only a few seconds remaining, kicker Adam Vinatieri was called upon to attempt a 45-yard field goal in the driving blizzard. The ground was covered in several inches of snow, and the wind was swirling. It was a kick that Vinatieri would later describe as the most difficult of his life, one where the margin for error was virtually zero. Yet, as the ball was snapped and placed, Vinatieri struck it cleanly, and the football sailed through the whiteout conditions, clearing the crossbar to tie the game and send it into overtime. In the sudden death overtime period, New England won the coin toss, marched down the field, and Vinatieri secured the victory with a shorter field goal. The Patriots advanced to the conference championship, defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers, and went on to upset the heavily favored St. Louis Rams in the Super Bowl, beginning a dynasty that would dominate the sport for nearly 2 decades. Had the referee's decision on that snowy night gone the other way, the history of professional football would have been profoundly different. If the play had been ruled a fumble, the Oakland Raiders would have advanced and New England's season would have ended. Tom Brady, still an improving young player, might have been returned to the bench in favor of the highly paid veteran Drew Bledsoe for the following season. The legendary partnership between Brady and head coach Bill Belichick might never have taken root. Instead, a single legalistic interpretation of a complex rule served as the catalyst for one of the greatest dynasties in athletic history, illustrating how the thinnest of margins can determine the legacy of lifetimes. Part 2. The Pursuit of the Bronze Statuette. 4 years prior to that fateful night in New England, the world of college football was captivated by a different kind of drama. The year was 1997, and the race for the Heisman Trophy, the most prestigious individual award in amateur sports was unfolding with an intensity that captured the imagination of the entire nation. The race was characterized by a fascinating clash of personalities, positions, and regional prides, featuring four young men who would all go on to achieve legendary status in the professional ranks. The preseason favorite was Peyton Manning, the senior quarterback of the University of Tennessee. Manning was the golden boy of college football, possessing an extraordinary intellect, impeccable throwing mechanics, and a deep familial connection to the game through his father, Archie Manning. Archie had been a legendary quarterback at the University of Mississippi, but had spent his professional career struggling on poorly constructed teams. Peyton's decision to return to Tennessee for his senior year, rather than entering the draft where he would have been the first overall selection by the New York Jets, was viewed as a rare act of devotion to the collegiate experience. He wished to finish what he had started, to win a conference championship and to bring a national title to the people of Knoxville. Manning's primary challengers represented a diverse array of football talent. There was Randy Moss, the sophomore wide receiver from Marshall University, whose physical gifts were so immense that they seemed to redefine the limits of his position. Moss had endured a tumultuous path to Marshall, having lost opportunities at Notre Dame and Florida State due to youthful mistakes and legal difficulties. At Marshall, he found a haven, displaying a level of athletic brilliance that made him a national sensation, even while playing for a smaller program outside the traditional power conferences. From the West Coast came Ryan Leaf, the confident and physically imposing, a quarterback of Washington State University. Leaf possessed a powerful arm and a swaggering demeanor that polarized fans and media alike. He led his team on an unexpected run toward the Rose Bowl, asserting himself as a viable alternative to Manning in the eyes of professional scouts who valued raw physical tools. Then there was Charles Woodson, the junior cornerback of the University of Michigan. Woodson was a rare three-way impact player, performing at an elite level on defense, while also contributing as a wide receiver on offense and a punt returner on special teams. Under the guidance of head coach Lloyd Carr, Woodson became the heart of a dominant Michigan team that was climbing the national rankings. Historically, the Heisman Trophy was almost exclusively awarded to offensive skill players, specifically quarterbacks and running backs. No primary defensive player had ever won the bronze statuette since its inception in 1935. The conventional wisdom suggested that fans and voters preferred to see touchdown runs and passing statistics, making it exceedingly difficult for a cornerback, no matter how dominant, to gain traction in the balloting. The turning point of the campaign occurred in November, while Peyton Manning continued to put up steady, impressive numbers for Tennessee. Charles Woodson began to deliver a series of spectacular signature performances on national television. In a highly anticipated game against Michigan State, Woodson made a breathtaking, one-handed interception along the sideline that demonstrated an athletic ability that went beyond normal human limits. He followed this with a dominant performance against undefeated Penn State, shutting down their passing game while contributing key plays on offense. The climax of Woodson's campaign came during the traditional rivalry game against Ohio State, with the national championship hopes of the Wolverines on the line. Woodson delivered a performance for the ages. He intercepted a pass in the end zone to stop an Ohio State drive, caught a 37-yard pass to set up a Michigan touchdown, and returned a punt 78 yards for a touchdown, striking a brief, iconic pose as he ran down the sideline. It was a display of versatility and big play capability that captured the national conversation and shifted the momentum of the Heisman race. Meanwhile, Manning and the Tennessee Volunteers secured the Southeastern Conference championship with a dramatic victory over Auburn, but Manning's inability to defeat their chief rival, the University of Florida, throughout his career remained a lingering point of criticism among some voters. The Heisman electorate, comprising over 800 media members and former winners across 6 distinct geographical regions, found themselves deeply divided. In the southern region, Manning's support was unwavering. He was viewed as the consummate student-athlete, a model of preparation and dignity who had given up millions of dollars to play one more year for his school. In the Midwest and East, however, a groundswell of support was growing for Woodson. Many argued that the Heisman should represent the best overall football player in the country, regardless of position, and that Woodson's three-way dominance had shattered the traditional mold. The tension reached its peak on the second Saturday of December at the Downtown Athletic Club in New York City. The 4 finalists, Manning, Woodson, Leaf, and Moss, sat in the historic ballroom, surrounded by past winners and intense media scrutiny. When the envelope was opened, the announcement of Charles Woodson as the 63rd Heisman Trophy winner sent shockwaves through the sporting world. The reaction in Tennessee was immediate and bitter. Many fans and local commentators felt that Manning had been treated unfairly by a national media that was eager for a novel storyline. They pointed to his superior statistics and his lifetime of achievements as evidence of a historic injustice. Conversely, supporters of Woodson celebrated the decision as a triumph of pure athletic excellence over traditional positional bias, proving that a defensive player of sufficient brilliance could indeed capture the highest honor in the sport. Both Manning and Woodson would go on to be selected in the top 4 of the subsequent professional draft and put together careers that would lead them to the Hall of Fame. Yet, the 1997 Heisman race remained a defining moment for both men, a study in how regional loyalties, media narratives, and individual moments of brilliance can converge to shape the legacy of amateur athletes. Part 3. The Tycoon and the Beautiful Game. While the dramas of American football were defined by single plays and individual trophies, a far grander and more complex intersection of sport and Power was unfolding across the Atlantic Ocean, in the nation of Italy during the latter decades of the 20th century. A wealthy media tycoon named Silvio Berlusconi was demonstrating how the passion of soccer could be systematically converted into immense political authority. To understand the rise of Berlusconi, one must first understand the state of Italian society and its relationship with the sport of football. In the 1970s and early 80s, Italy was a nation undergoing profound social and economic transformation, yet its political system was remarkably stagnant. The same political party, the Christian Democrats, had held a permanent grip on power since the end of the Second World War, resulting in a culture of political inertia and systemic corruption. The country had also endured a decade of domestic terrorism and social unrest, creating a gloomy and anxious atmosphere. In the middle of this stagnation, the Italian national soccer team provided a rare moment of collective ecstasy by winning the 1982 World Cup in Spain. The victory, led by the goal-scoring exploits of Paolo Rossi, who had recently returned from a suspension related to a betting scandal, served as a powerful symbol of national renewal. It demonstrated to the Italian public that their country, despite its political troubles, still possessed the energy and talent to triumph on the world stage. Silvio Berlusconi, a dynamic and ambitious entrepreneur from Milan, recognized the profound emotional connection that Italians shared with soccer. Berlusconi had begun his career as a real estate developer, building modern residential complexes designed for young families. He possessed a visionary understanding of the future, recognizing before others the potential of commercial television in a nation where the state-owned network held a monopoly. Exploiting legal loopholes that permitted local television stations to broadcast pre-recorded tapes, Berlusconi constructed a private media empire that offered the Italian public a fresh, colorful alternative to the sober programming of state television. He introduced American television series, quiz shows, and vibrant advertising, shifting the cultural landscape toward a consumer-oriented lifestyle. In 1986, Berlusconi turned his attention to soccer. The historic Club Associazione Calcio Milan, one of the most storied franchises in Italian history, was on the brink of bankruptcy following its involvement in match-fixing scandals that had resulted in its relegation to the second division. Berlusconi acquired the club, declaring his intention to transform it into the strongest and most spectacular team in the world. He approached the management of the soccer club with the same entrepreneurial flair and theatricality that had characterized his business ventures. To introduce the team to the public, he organized a spectacular event at a training facility where the players arrived in helicopters to the dramatic music of Richard Wagner. It was a display of wealth and modern style that was entirely foreign to the traditional, conservative world of Italian soccer. Berlusconi's most significant sporting decision was the appointment of Arrigo Sacchi as the team's head coach. Sacchi was a relative unknown who had never played professional soccer and had only coached in the lower divisions. His appointment was met with widespread skepticism by the Italian sports media, who questioned how a man of such modest background could direct a team of expensive stars. However, Sacchi possessed a revolutionary vision of the game. Traditional Italian soccer was characterized by a defensive, cautious style known as catenaccio, which prioritized avoiding mistakes and securing narrow victories. Sacchi proposed a completely different approach, inspired by the total football of the Netherlands. He implemented a system based on aggressive pressing, zonal defense, and fluid movement, requiring intense physical conditioning and mental concentration from his players. To execute this vision, Berlusconi provided Sacchi with some of the finest talent in the world. He signed the brilliant Dutch trio of Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, and Frank Rijkaard, alongside a core of exceptional Italian defenders including Franco Baresi and Paolo Maldini. Gullit, with his physical power and charismatic style, became the symbol of this new, modern era of Milan soccer. The results of this combination of financial resources, tactical innovation, and athletic talent were extraordinary. Associazione Calcio Milan transformed into a dominant force, playing a style of soccer that was celebrated throughout Europe for its beauty and intensity. In 1988, they defeated Napoli, led by the legendary Diego Maradona, to win the Italian championship. The following year, in 1989, they reached the final of the European Cup in Barcelona, where they dismantled Steaua Bucharest by a score of 4-0 before 90,000 adoring fans who had traveled from Italy. Berlusconi ensured that he was always positioned at the forefront of these victories. He visited the dressing room regularly, offering tactical advice and celebrating alongside the players. He cultivated an image of himself as a golden entrepreneur, a man of modern ideas whose leadership could transform any institution into a global winner. In the early 1990s, the Italian political system collapsed under the weight of a massive corruption investigation known as Clean Hands, which decimated the traditional political parties that had governed the nation for decades. Sensing a profound vacuum of power, Berlusconi decided to enter the political arena. He launched a new political party and chose a name that was taken directly from the chants of the soccer stadiums, Forza Italia, which translated to Go Italy. His political campaign was organized using the language, techniques, and personnel of his media empire and his soccer club. He presented himself to the voters not as a traditional politician but as the president of Associazione Calcio Milan, a proven winner who could bring the same efficiency, style, and success to the governance of the nation. The strategy was remarkably successful. In 1994, Berlusconi was elected Prime Minister of Italy for the first time. Though his political career would be marked by intense controversy, legal battles, and shifting fortunes, he would go on to serve as Prime Minister multiple times, becoming one of the most dominant and polarizing figures in modern Italian history. His success demonstrated a profound truth about the nature of modern democracy. That in a media-saturated world, the emotional connection and narrative power of athletic triumph could be utilized to secure political authority. By presenting himself as the man who is condemned to win, Berlusconi constructed a political identity that was deeply intertwined with the fortunes of his soccer club, illustrating how the boundaries between sport, business, and governance had become permanently blurred. The echoes of the whistle. When we look back at these three narratives, we find a common thread that connects the frozen turf of New England, the media rooms of New York, and the political arenas of Rome. In each case, we see how individuals and institutions are shaped by the rules we establish to govern our competitions and how our interpretation of those rules can define the course of our lives. The tuck rule, which was eventually abolished by the owners of the National Football League in 2013, remains a symbol of how a technicality can alter the course of athletic history. Tom Brady and Charles Woodson, whose paths first crossed as teammates in Michigan, would find their legacies forever linked by that single, snowy night in Foxborough. For Brady, the call was the beginning of an unprecedented journey of championships. For Woodson, it was a lingering reminder of a victory that slipped away. In the collegiate ranks, the Heisman race of 1997 showed how the passion of fans and the narratives of the media can transform an individual award into a regional struggle. Charles Woodson's historic victory as a defensive player challenged the traditional boundaries of the sport, while Peyton Manning's response to the disappointment demonstrated the quiet dignity that would characterize his legendary professional career. And in Italy, the story of Silvio Berlusconi showed how the emotional power of the beautiful game could be harnessed to reshape the political landscape of an entire nation. His career proved that the narrative of the winner is a potent force in human affairs, one that can transcend the traditional boundaries of business and politics. Ultimately, these stories remind us that while we may train, plan, and strive for victory, we remain subject to the unexpected turns of fate. Whether it is a referee's decision, the vote of a journalist, or the bounce of a ball on a snowy field, the margins that separate triumph from defeat are often as thin as a single flake of snow, leaving us to wonder how our lives might have differed had the wind blown in a slightly different direction. The human experience is frequently defined by moments of sudden transition, where the course of history, the destiny of nations, and the trajectories of individual lives pivot upon a single decision, a sudden change in the weather, or the interpretation of a written rule. These occurrences, often discussed as the butterfly effect, demonstrate the intricate and sometimes delicate nature of our choices and circumstances. When we examine the modern history of sports, media, and politics, we find extraordinary examples of these pivotal moments. Three distinct yet interconnected narratives illustrate this phenomenon. The cold, snowy night in Foxborough, Massachusetts, where a controversial rule altered the landscape of professional football. the fiercely contested collegiate race. For the Heisman Trophy in the year 1997, which challenged traditional definitions of athletic value and the rise of a media tycoon in Italy who utilized the cultural passion for soccer to construct a political dynasty. Each story offers a profound look into the relationship between strategy, public perception, and the unpredictable nature of fate. In January of the year 2002, the New England Patriots met the Oakland Raiders in the American Football Conference divisional playoff game. The contest was held at Foxborough Stadium, a cold, utilitarian venue slated for demolition immediately following the game. The weather conditions were severe. A heavy winter snowstorm had blanketed the region, covering the turf in several inches of white powder and creating a scene that television commentators described as a winter wonderland. This environment was precisely what the owner of the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, had desired. When the National Football League had consulted team owners regarding their scheduling preferences, Kraft had requested a late evening kickoff in the middle of winter, believing that the freezing cold and heavy snow of Massachusetts would provide a distinct home field advantage. This strategy was reminiscent of a famous game 20 years prior, in December of the year 1982, when a snow sweeper had cleared a spot on the field to allow New England to kick a game-winning field goal against the Miami Dolphins. The rivalry between the New England Patriots and the Oakland Raiders was already steeped in history and mutual grievance. 25 years earlier, in the year 1976, during the same round of the playoffs, a highly controversial roughing the passer penalty had been called against Patriots defensive lineman Ray Hamilton, known to fans as Sugar Bear Hamilton by referee Ben Drath. That penalty had allowed the Raiders to secure a critical first down and eventually win the game 24-21 en route to a Super Bowl victory. The memory of that call had lingered for decades in New England, creating a deep sense of unresolved grievance. Furthermore, in August of the year 1978, a tragic collision during a preseason game had left New England wide receiver Darryl Stingley paralyzed following a hit by Oakland safety Jack Tatum. In the year 1986, another playoff meeting between the franchises had ended in a physical altercation in the stadium tunnel. Thus, the meeting in the year 2002 was loaded with historical tension. Adding to the drama of the night was the reunion of two former teammates from the University of Michigan, New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady and Oakland Raiders cornerback Charles Woodson. Woodson had been a celebrated collegiate star, winning the Heisman Trophy in the year 1997. Tom Brady, by contrast, had experienced a much more challenging path to the professional ranks. Drafted with the 199th pick in the 6th round of the year 2000 National Football League draft, Brady had spent his rookie season as a backup. However, during the second game of the year 2001 season, New England starting quarterback Drew Bledsoe suffered a severe injury, experiencing internal bleeding after a heavy hit that required intensive care. Tom Brady was elevated to the starting role. Over the course of the season, Brady demonstrated a remarkable ability to manage the game, make accurate passes, and lead his team to victories. Despite his youth and relative inexperience, his steady development had guided the Patriots to the playoffs. As the playoff game unfolded in the driving snow, the Oakland Raiders, led by head coach John Gruden, appeared to be in control of the contest, holding a 13-10 lead late in the fourth quarter. The slippery footing made it difficult for defensive players to react quickly, a condition that Brady began to exploit by utilizing quick, short passes. With under 2 minutes remaining in regulation, the Patriots faced a critical drive to tie or win the game. On a 2nd down and 3 from the Oakland 47-yard line, the New England coaching staff, led by offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss, called for a passing play. Charles Woodson, recognizing the offensive alignment, anticipated a pass to the single receiver side. As Brady dropped back to throw, Woodson executed a blitz from the perimeter, closing the distance before the young quarterback could release the ball. Woodson struck Brady, and the football came loose, falling into the snow where it was recovered by Oakland linebacker Greg Biekert. To the players on the field, the television commentators, and the fans in the stands, the play appeared to be a clear sack and a fumble, which would effectively secure a victory for the Oakland Raiders and end the Patriots season. However, referee Walt Coleman received a communication from the replay booth to review the play. The review centered on a little-known guideline known as the Tuck Rule, officially designated as National Football League Rule 3, Section 22, Article 2. The rule stated that when an offensive player is holding the ball to pass it forward, any intentional forward movement of his arm starts a forward pass. Crucially, if the player loses possession of the ball while attempting to tuck it back toward his body, the play is ruled an incomplete pass rather than a fumble, provided the ball comes loose before the player completes the tuck against his side. After examining the replay monitor, referee Walt Coleman determined that Brady's arm had been moving forward and that he had not yet securely tucked the ball back against his body when the contact occurred. Coleman returned to the field and announced that the play was an incomplete pass. This ruling gave the Patriots new life, allowing them to continue their drive. Shortly thereafter, New England kicker Adam Vinatieri executed a 45-yard field goal through the driving snow and wind, a kick that would later be described as one of the most difficult and impressive in sports history. The kick tied the game and sent it into overtime. In the extra period, the Patriots won the coin toss, drove down the field, and Vinatieri secured the victory with a 23-yard field goal. New England went on to win the Super Bowl that season, launching a historic dynasty. The Tuck Rule play remains a subject of intense debate and speculation. Had the play been ruled a fumble, the Oakland Raiders would have likely advanced to the American Football Conference Championship and perhaps won the Super Bowl. In that scenario, Tom Brady's position as the starting quarterback for the following season would have been far from guaranteed. The Patriots head coach, Bill Belichick, might have returned the starting job to the veteran Drew Bledsoe, altering the trajectory of Brady's historic career. This single interpretation of a rule became a turning point that redefined the modern landscape of professional football, illustrating how the smallest details can have a profound impact on human destinies. To fully understand the competitive dynamic between Charles Woodson and the quarterbacks of his era, we must examine the college football season of the year 1997. That year featured one of the most celebrated and debated Heisman Trophy races in history, showcasing different archetypes of collegiate excellence. Peyton Manning, the quarterback for the University of Tennessee, entered the season as the heavy favorite. Manning, the son of Ole Miss legend Archie Manning, had made the unusual decision to return for his senior season. Instead of entering the National Football League draft, where he was widely projected to be the first overall pick by the New York Jets, coached by Bill Parcells, Manning chose to remain in school to complete his degree experience, his final year of college life, and pursue a national championship and a victory over Tennessee's chief rival, the Florida Gators. Manning's return was met with immense media coverage and public admiration. He was viewed as the consummate quarterback prospect, possessing outstanding intelligence, size, and passing accuracy. However, his pursuit of the Heisman Trophy was complicated by the presence of other exceptional athletes, each representing a unique style of play. Among them was Ryan Leaf, the quarterback for Washington State University. Standing 6 feet 6 inches and weighing 235 pounds, Leaf possessed a powerful throwing arm and a confident, highly competitive demeanor. He led the Washington State Cougars on a historic run, securing their first Rose Bowl appearance in 7 decades and establishing himself as a primary contender for the top pick in the upcoming professional draft. Another formidable candidate was Randy Moss, a wide receiver playing for Marshall University. Moss possessed extraordinary athletic ability, combined with great height and speed. Despite facing personal and legal setbacks earlier in his career, which had resulted in his departure from Notre Dame and Florida State University, Moss found a home at Marshall. Under the national spotlight, he accumulated remarkable statistics, catching 90 passes for 1,647 yards and 25 touchdowns during the 1997 season, demonstrating a talent that demanded attention despite the smaller profile of his school. The candidate who would ultimately challenge the traditional definition of the award was Charles Woodson, playing for the University of Michigan under head coach Lloyd Carr. Woodson was a unique asset. While primarily recognized as a premier cornerback, Woodson also contributed significantly as a wide receiver and a punt returner. His versatility allowed him to impact games in all 3 phases of play, a rarity in modern college football. Throughout the 1997 season, Woodson made spectacular, game-defining plays in a highly anticipated matchup against rival Michigan State, coached by Nick Saban. Woodson executed a remarkable one-handed interception that captured the attention of national media. Later, in the annual rivalry game against Ohio State, Woodson returned a punt 66 yards for a touchdown, caught a key pass, and intercepted an opponent's throw, securing an undefeated regular season for the Wolverines. The debate surrounding the Heisman Trophy intensified as the voting deadline approached. Historically, the award had almost exclusively been presented to offensive players, specifically running backs and quarterbacks. No primarily defensive player had ever won the trophy. Supporters of Peyton Manning argued that his sustained excellence over 4 years and his leadership in guiding Tennessee to a Southeastern Conference championship made him the rightful recipient. Conversely, advocates for Woodson argued that he was the most dynamic and impactful player on the nation's top-ranked team, demonstrating a level of versatility that transcended traditional positions. On December 13, 1997, the Downtown Athletic Club announced Charles Woodson as the winner of the 63rd Heisman Trophy, with Peyton Manning finishing as the runner-up. The decision sparked intense reactions, particularly among supporters of the University of Tennessee, who felt that Manning's collegiate achievements had been overlooked. Nevertheless, the class of 1997, featuring Woodson, Manning, and Moss, would go down as one of the most talented in football history, with 3 of its finalists eventually earning induction into the Professional Football Hall of Fame. While sports in the United States were being shaped by individual decisions and rule interpretations, a parallel phenomenon was occurring in Italy, where the intersection of sports, media, and political power reached unprecedented heights. This story centers on Silvio Berlusconi, a wealthy media tycoon who utilized the cultural passion for soccer to propel himself to the office of Prime Minister. In the late 20th century, Italy was a nation undergoing significant social and political transformation. The country had survived a decade of domestic terrorism in the 1970s and was governed by a political system that many citizens viewed as stagnant and corrupt. The Christian Democratic Party had held power continuously since 1947, leading to a sense of political exhaustion among the public. At the same time, the nation's beloved sport of soccer, known locally as calcio, had suffered a series of damaging scandals. In the year 1980, a match-fixing scandal known as Toto Nero resulted in severe penalties for several clubs and players. Associazione Calcio Milan, one of the country's historic franchises, was forcibly demoted to the second division, Serie B, while star forward Paolo Rossi received a 3-year suspension. These events left Italian football in a state of moral and financial crisis, damaging the public's trust in the integrity of the sport. Silvio Berlusconi, a native of Milan, had established himself as a successful real estate developer, constructing modern residential complexes such as Milano. 2. He possessed a keen understanding of media and public psychology. When the Italian courts deregulated television broadcasting, Berlusconi navigated the legal restrictions to establish the country's first private national television network by sending recorded cassettes of programming to local stations across the country. He bypassed the prohibition on live national private broadcasts, creating a highly profitable media empire fueled by advertising revenue. In the year 1986, with Associazione Calcio Milan facing bankruptcy and sporting decline, Berlusconi purchased the club. He recognized that soccer was a powerful vehicle for capturing the emotions of the Italian public. Upon acquiring the team, he introduced a level of theatricality and modern marketing previously unseen in Italian sports. He arrived at team training sessions in helicopters accompanied by dramatic classical music, signaling a new era of ambition and investment. Berlusconi's goal was to transform Associazione Calcio Milan into a symbol of modern, dynamic, and successful Italian culture. He renovated the club's facilities, improved the organizational structure, and invested heavily in acquiring top talent. To achieve his vision of a spectacular and dominant team, Berlusconi made the unconventional choice of hiring Arrigo Sacchi as head coach in the year 1987. Sacchi, a former shoe salesman who had never played professional soccer and had only coached in the lower divisions, was met with skepticism by the media and fans. However, Sacchi introduced a tactical revolution that transformed the sport. Traditional Italian soccer had long been dominated by catenaccio, a defensive system focused on caution, marking individual opponents, and relying on counterattacks. Sacchi replaced this with a dynamic, collective system based on zone defense, intense pressing, and the compression of playing space. He demanded absolute mental concentration and physical fitness from his players, requiring them to move as a synchronized unit. To implement this system, the club secured the talents of the legendary Dutch trio Ruud Gullit, Marco van Basten, and Frank Rijkaard. They joined an exceptionally talented group of Italian players, including Franco Baresi, Roberto Donadoni, and Carlo Ancelotti. The results were historic. In May of the year 1988, Milan defeated Diego Maradona's Napoli 3-2 in a critical match, securing the Italian League Championship, the Scudetto. The following year, in the year 1989, Milan advanced to the European Cup final, where they defeated Steaua Bucharest 4-0 in Barcelona, before 90,000 adoring fans who had traveled from Italy. Milan's style of play was celebrated for its beauty, speed, and offensive philosophy. Berlusconi frequently emphasized his personal role in the team's success, cultivating an image of a visionary leader who was condemned to win. By the early 1990s, Italy's traditional political parties collapsed under the weight of a massive corruption investigation known as Mani Pulite, or clean hands. Sensing a political vacuum, Berlusconi decided to enter public service. In the year 1994, he launched a new political party named Forza Italia, a title taken directly from a popular soccer chant meaning Go Italy. Berlusconi's political campaign was heavily organized around the structure and Language of soccer. He referred to his political candidates as teammates and his entry into politics as taking the field. He presented his success as the owner of Associazione Calcio Milan as proof of his ability to lead the nation, promising to bring the efficiency, modern management, and winning culture of his soccer club to the Italian government. The strategy proved highly effective. Berlusconi was elected prime minister, demonstrating how sports and media could be leveraged to reshape the political landscape of an entire nation. His career illustrated the profound connection between cultural passion, media narrative, and political authority. These three narratives, the Tuck Rule game, the 1997 Heisman race, and the rise of Silvio Berlusconi, reveal the complex forces that shape human endeavors. In each instance, we observe how a combination of preparation, opportunity, and the interpretation of established frameworks can yield dramatic consequences. In professional football, a precise reading of the rules by an official in a replay booth allowed a young quarterback to sustain a drive, win a championship, and establish a legacy that would span 2 decades. In collegiate athletics, a defensive player's versatile performance challenged decades of voting tradition, highlighting the evolving nature of excellence and sparking debates that persist to this day. In international politics, the passion for a sport was harnessed by a media entrepreneur to construct a powerful narrative of national renewal and personal capability. Underlying all three of these historical episodes is the profound psychology of competition and the human desire for a narrative of triumph. Whether it is a quarterback standing in a freezing blizzard, a young defensive back striving to prove his worth on a national stage, or a political figure seeking to capture the imagination of millions, the core driving force remains the pursuit of validation. In the case of the Tuck Rule, the emotional aftermath for the participants speaks to the lingering nature of such pivotal moments. For Charles Woodson and the Oakland Raiders, the ruling felt like an unjust deprivation of a hard-earned victory. For Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, it was a moment of grace that they capitalized on through execution and composure. The dramatic contrast between these two perspectives highlights a fundamental truth about competitive sports. The margin between victory and defeat is often razor-thin, and the stories we construct about these outcomes are shaped by which side of the whistle we find ourselves on. Similarly, the 1997 Heisman Trophy race illustrates how public perception and media narratives can create intense regional rivalries. The disappointment felt by the supporters of Peyton Manning and the University of Tennessee was not merely about a trophy. It was about the validation of a career marked by dedication, loyalty, and exceptional skill. Woodson's victory, while celebrated as a breakthrough for defensive players, challenged the established order and forced fans and analysts to reevaluate what it means to be the most outstanding player in college football. In the political arena, Silvio Berlusconi's utilization of soccer culture demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of collective identity. by aligning his political aspirations with the fortunes of Associazione Calcio Milan. He tapped into a pre-existing reservoir of loyalty, passion, and pride. He understood that for many citizens, soccer was not just a game, but a reflection of their community, their values, and their dreams. By presenting himself as the architect of Milan's success, he offered a compelling vision of leadership that resonated with the public weary of political stagnation. These stories also prompt us to reflect on the nature of rules and governance. Rules are established to ensure fairness, order, and consistency in competition. However, as the tuck rule game demonstrated, the application of a written rule can sometimes produce results that feel counterintuitive to our natural sense of justice. The rule was written to clarify the distinction between a pass and a fumble, yet its execution on that snowy night in Foxborough felt, to many, like a technical loophole that subverted the spirit of the game. This tension between the letter of the law and the spirit of the game is a common theme in human affairs. Whether in sports, law, or politics, the frameworks we create to govern our interactions must constantly be evaluated to ensure they serve the principles of equity and common sense. The subsequent decision by the National Football League to eliminate the tuck rule in the year 2013 was an acknowledgement of this tension, a recognition that the rule had ceased to align with the collective understanding of a fair outcome. To look back on the late years of the 20th century and the early years of the 21st century is to observe a transition in how sports and media were consumed. The archival approach to history allows us to see these events not through the lens of modern revisionism, but through the immediate, raw emotions of the participants and spectators who lived them. When Peyton Manning stood at the podium in Knoxville, Tennessee, announcing his decision to stay in school, he was acting on a philosophy that valued the collegiate experience, personal growth, and team loyalty over immediate financial gain. In an era before the advent of massive name, image, and likeness contracts, his choice was seen as a rare act of devotion to his university and his sport. It was a decision that endeared him to millions, even as it set up the dramatic stage for his eventual Heisman disappointment. At the same time, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Charles Woodson was redefining the limits of what a single player could accomplish. His performance was characterized by an effortless grace and an intense competitive drive. His ability to impact games on defense, offense, and special teams captured the imagination of voters who had grown accustomed to rewarding statistics over sheer influence. Woodson's Heisman victory was a triumph for the versatile athlete, a statement that greatness cannot always be measured by yardage alone. Across the Atlantic, the rise of Associazione Calcio Milan under Arrigo Sacchi was a testament to the power of tactical innovation and collective harmony. Sacchi's system rejected the reliance on individual genius in favor of a cohesive, structured team dynamic. It was a philosophy that mirrored the industrial, forward-thinking spirit of Milan itself, a city that was rapidly transforming into a global capital of fashion, design, and commerce. Berlusconi's ability to identify and support this vision was a key factor in his rise, demonstrating that successful leadership often involves empowering innovators who are willing to challenge established norms. Ultimately, these narratives demonstrate that while preparation and strategy are vital, the element of luck can never be fully eliminated from human endeavors. The heavy snowstorm at Foxborough, the specific path of a kicked football through a blizzard, the regional distribution of Heisman voters, and the political vacuum created by a judicial investigation in Italy were all external factors that played a decisive role in these historical outcomes. Recognizing the role of luck does not diminish the achievements of those who triumphed. Rather, it humbles us, reminding us that even the most meticulously planned efforts can be swayed by forces beyond our control. It encourages us to appreciate our successes with gratitude and to meet our disappointments with resilience and grace. As we reflect on these stories, we are reminded of the shared humanity of those who compete, lead, and strive for excellence. Whether on the frozen turf of Foxborough, the stage of the downtown athletic club, or the political arenas of Rome, the human spirit is defined by its willingness to take the field, to face the elements, and to pursue greatness in the face of uncertainty. It is this shared journey, with all its unpredictable twists and turns, that continues to captivate our collective imagination and inspire us to reach for our own potential